Hey, hello, hello. Welcome to your Soul to Soul reading for the date of November. Shit, I always forget to mark the date. I think it's the 10th, 9th, whatever. These readings are not time sensitive. That's why I always forget to mark the date. Anyway, it's our Soul to Soul reading. Welcome to the Witching Hour. This channel is called the Witching Hour. My name is Michelle and I'm a witch. And I'm going to be doing a reading based on my oracle divination cards that I've made, my Soul to Soul divination and oracle cards. Today I am working on card number 5, I believe. And based on the way that they were channeled to me and written down, I can reprioritize. They don't have to be in any particular order, but they kind of went by importance to me, or what was most immediately relevant to me. That's what I guess how I would phrase it. What was the most immediately relevant to me? And so the first was spirit, and then myself, and then romantic love, and then family. And now I'm going to do nature and animals. And my son's cat is jumping up on the table. So perfect. You go right along with the reading. Her name is Nix. She is a little tabby that my son just adopted. And she likes to climb on stuff. So maybe she'll make another appearance in the reading. So I'm looking through my cards and I'm going to pull out the card that depicts nature. And the next one will be animals. And I have more than one card for nature, but here it is. So I have just all the elements. Let me show you. So I have earth here with the trees, because I love to commune with the trees a lot, and I love the rainbow and the light coming through. So this is earth. This is air. It's like a witchy kind of a woman with the air blowing through her hair, and the bigger picture of it is her witch hat is flying off, and I love that she just looks so unruffled by it. I love it. That image gives me a lot of peace. I like to associate air with meditation, because you breathe and you just sit and you're unruffled by anything, and that reminds me of that. So earth, air, and then fire. And to me, this looks like me whenever I sit anywhere near fire. I just go into like this zone of staring into the fire, and I just immediately go into this. I just kind of dur out, and you start scrying naturally. You just get in touch with your intuitive sense, and you connect with spirit. And same with the water. Just immersing yourself in the water and just feeling your body float in it. It's just so amazing. And the trees, when you go out in the grass or the sand at the beach and you slide down and you can feel your body kind of getting sucked into the earth, and that grounding feeling. It's so just gorgeous. And then to me, the fifth element, so to speak, is light. Because when you think about it, we usually talk about the other 4 elements, but light, nothing would grow without it. Your plants aren't going to grow with just a bonfire or a candle, or, they need the sun. And to me, that's light is like that 5th element that I added to my mix of nature. So, and also they can be the earthly elements, and then the light can depict spirit also. Like love. The love, which is central, and the light, which is central, that depicts spirit also. So if you're pagan-esque or whatever, or you're just an earth-based spirituality or whatever, witch, Wiccan, whatever, druid, or none of the above, you're very earth-centered or whatever, and the energy that you might relate to or be familiar with is being very familiar with the directions and the element of each direction. Like earth is north, typically, traditionally speaking. Air is east, fire is south, and water is west. And then sometimes if you're doing spell work with a circle, you add the element of spirit. And to me, that's what this is. It's earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. But to me, light is the fifth element. So that's my description of my card. And if you make one, it will be based on how you see it and how you feel. It represents nature the most to you, that really jumps off the page to you and makes you feel like you're right there in it. And these are my favorite, all-time favorite pictures. And I threw them together in a little collage on my phone because of all the different elements. And these are my favorite ones depicting nature. So there's that. I drew, before I got on the camera, I drew my tarot cards ahead of time, and they're face down and they are waiting for me. But also, I'm gonna pick a fairy ring oracle card, because we can't talk about nature and not mention fairies. I am all about fairies. I really am. So I wanted to show you, see, like I have the individual elements on other cards. This is the fire one, and I have the water and the earth one. Here's the earth one. I have a card with crystal on it, so I mean all of that's earth, you know. Here's the water one on its own. But here are some other ones. And these are all individual experiences and feelings that I get. But here's the roses. I had an experience where the flowers were actually healing me. It was amazing. This one depicts me and self-love. And here is me. It's not really me, but it's a picture of a woman in the woods, and she's communicating with the flower. That's what I think she's doing. And these are all the fairy lights around her, and that's so me. It depicts my energy. I get right into that picture when I look at it, and that's the whole point of using my own cards this way, and is to get into the picture. It's like you go in, you enter into the picture, and you just kind of have this little experience. But a lot, and because these cards depict actual experiences I've already had, so when I see it, I can go right back into the experience, or go right back into the essence of what the card is supposed to be depicting. So that's a little rundown of my cards again, and getting into the nature. My whole point was to say that a lot of my cards are nature based, and I'm not as earthy crunchy as you might think. I mean, I'm very human, and I've got my imperfections and my flaws and whatnot. I am just natural. I guess that's kind of the point of the whole reading. Before I sat down, I wanted to channel some things, so I channeled some words that came through. And the first word that came was instinct. Was when you're talking about nature, when you're connecting with it, it's more to connect with your instinct. You know, our instincts are the most natural thing about us, I think. And I think all creatures on the planet have different and distinct types of instincts. Some of them are more universal, like to mate, to communicate, to eat, obviously, to move, to nurture ourselves and connect with one another. Whether we're cognizant of it or not, it's an instinct to want to connect with another being, even if it's not of your own kind or your own race or your own species. It's like we want to connect. Nature wants to connect with itself. The other word was to do what makes you feel alive, and that's like an inner instinct that you have. As far as doing something that has meaning, it's usually more, instead of having meaning up in your head, it's more like having meaning, connecting with something that has meaning to you because it makes you feel alive. It fires up all of your inner instincts about feeling alive, and whatever that is for you. and to do that, and that it helps keep you alive, connecting with whatever activity or action it is. That's if you connect it to your instinct or do what is naturally connected to your instincts, that it makes you feel more alive and vibrant. A word that came to me, a sentence that came to me a while back, and it came back to me when I was writing this down, was when you depend on nature, you appreciate nature. So, like, I guess, modern day world and society and whatever not, there's a lot of man-made or human-made stuff that we come to depend on that can get further and further removed from just relying directly on nature. Being able to go to a river and just get a drink of water, or just go pick fruit from a tree. Now we forage at the grocery store, that type of thing. And hunting has become like very bad, and I'm not that kind of nature person, and I don't mean to make fun of anyone who is vegetarian or vegan or doesn't hunt or anything like that, but to each his own, and whatever resonates for your instincts, but not to be condemning, of other people's instincts, But one way of connecting and getting food was hunting and foraging and gathering and all of that stuff, and now we do that more. People do the hunting for you if you eat meat, and it's in this little cellophane package. There isn't a direct connection to it. And your fruit has come from somewhere in Chile or Canada, or maybe locally grown, and maybe it's organic and maybe it isn't. You don't know. So we get further and further removed, which is no big secret. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. But the message was, when you depend on nature, when you can consciously choose, which we have the opportunity to do, which is great. We can afford to choose, which I'm appreciative of. You can choose to, one choice at a time, connect back with nature again the way you would like to, in the way of depending on nature. Like the message said, when you depend on nature, then you appreciate nature. Like, building our homes with natural materials isn't just, okay, so I go and I order the foofy organic stuff from the lumber yard or whatever. And yes, you can, and I'm not making fun of that, but it's like, get even more connected. Well, can we all live in yurts? Can we all live in teepees? Can we all live just in an organically, grown hemp tent out in the woods, I don't know. However far you can go, that would be great. Whatever resonates for you. Like, connect with, it's even harder to connect with nature in that way nowadays, because everything is so modernized that you may not have the resources to just directly go back to nature, and you might not know what to do with it. It's like we're so civilized, we've been so domesticated in a human-made kind of way that we don't even know how to connect with nature anymore. But however you can will help in helping you feel more alive and feel more natural. That's what I'm saying. So I don't mean to make fun of anybody at all, but sometimes we get hung up on our concepts and beliefs about taking care of the earth and spiritualizing things, which is beautiful, but sometimes we end up ironically condemning people who aren't 1,000% invested in returning to nature. It's not possible for everybody, It isn't realistic, even though our hearts might really, really want to, and our instincts want to go back to that. We might actually put our survival, our personal means of survival in jeopardy. It's like, well, I don't know how to do it, and I don't know where do I learn this, and we have to kind of relearn our instincts. So being so overly modernized, we can, do it a little bit at a time, and that's a luxury that I'm grateful for, that we can do it a little bit at a time. Might be something as teeny weeny as replacing the kind of salt you use, or replacing, something in your food supply, and going more towards directly connecting with nature, or outside, how you move, how you commute or whatever. That type of thing. So all of that to say, like, the more directly you depend on nature, the more you will appreciate it and feel how natural you are, how we're nature. We're nature. We're not humans living in nature. We're nature. I don't mean to pontificate, but it's like I'm just saying it to kind of remind us that kind of forget that when everything is so man-made. We forget how natural we are. And then it was, to ask yourself, what is our nature? And to me, it's like our nature is nature. It's like I am nature. I'm not just this person who goes around making shit up in my head and believing in all these concepts and spiritual things and that type of thing. It's more like I just want to be my natural self, whatever that is. And that we are nature. We're not above it in any way. And so that's another maybe food for thought might be helpful for you to remember that, you're nature, I'm nature, that type of thing. So, like I said, I'm just a regular person. I have, I'm just human. I'm not like overly cultivated or overly natural, organic, earthy, crunchy. I'm just myself. And I kind of do what I do based on my own intuition and kind of follow things that way. Like, I absolutely, being a witch, it's like I am nature. I'm fully connected to it. And yet, I drink coffee. I smoke cigarettes, the organic kind. But I'm not going to condemn anybody. I will be the last person to condemn anybody for doing anything that would, be frowned upon, I guess, so to speak, in certain circles. I just can't do it. I've been through it too much. I've been through organized religion where everything that isn't of that particular belief system is condemned as being, just unacceptable, and yet you find in spiritual communities that are not organized religion, they get condemning too, and none of that's natural to me. To me, it's like everybody's just to each his own self, and our ways of being are natural to us, however that develops and is created in your life, and it's like, well, that's fine, So I guess that's all I really wanted to say about all the stuff that I was getting beforehand. So I'm going to get into the cards and let's see what Spirit has to say about that. I can't find my glasses. Oh, jeepers. Am I wearing them? I do that all the time. All right. Well, okay, so here are the 3 cards, and the first one is the web. Wow. The first one is the web. This is number 11. 11. The web, I may read this from the book, but this is talking about how everything you do affects everything else. I think that's really amazing. I use this image a lot and this depiction a lot in my manifesting work, my spell work that has like a spiral and a web kind of image to it. And so this is also like similar to the card of karma or I think justice or the wheel of fortune, those types of traditional tarot cards. But this one is the web. I think I'll get back to it and I might read it from the book. But this, in a small nutshell, this is about how everything we do affects everything else around us and comes back to us. So isn't that interesting in that we're talking about nature? That you get what you give, kind of, in a way. Reverberates and affects everything else. The second card is intuition. Oh, Queen of Cups. And how natural, if you put them together, how natural it is to let your intuition lead you, to derive your sense of communication with nature through your intuition. And I meant what I said. When I said I like to commune with the trees, I mean literally commune. I communicate with them. They communicate. They really do. And that is how you connect with nature, is through your sense of intuition and your 7 senses. Your 7 senses. To me, oh, that's coming through. Your 7 natural senses are not just the typical 5, which we all know, you know, sight, sound, taste, smell, touch. And the 6th sense being your intuition. And to me, your 7th sense is your emotions. And my spirit guide described hearing as comprehension, and sound. Instead of hearing, it was sound. That we create sound with our throats, with our vocal cords. Sorry, that was the cat. We create sound, and that we feel sound. It resonates. It's a sense of resonance, which doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your ears. It can, obviously, but that's not what it's all about. You feel sound and things resonate for you in your entire body, and you feel vibration. And the image he gave me was a drum. It's your heartbeat. It's your everything that resonates for you. And nature, when you're out in your home, outside, you know, on our home, it feels, you can feel it in that way. And now she's eating my plant. No, Nix. Don't eat my plant. No. I gotta get the cat. Come here. No. Ow. Come on. No. Get down. I don't mind if she chews on it, but when she chews on it, she knocks it over and it spills. Oh my God. Sorry. Oh. Okay, so that was her. She just knocked the camera off kilter. The third card is Force. 10 of Wands. I think that's interesting. I'm saying because the first thing that jumped into my mind when you put it next to the other two, the web being everything, I think about the force of nature. That's what I'm thinking about when we look at the force of nature. And then I immediately thought of how we force nature to do what we want it to do. I thought that was interesting. Those two thoughts came through my mind. Yeah, that's what I was getting. The force of nature, like if you're out in a storm, or you're out by the ocean, or you know, you see a tree falling, or you see an animal prowling if you're out in the woods, or you know, especially those bigger examples of when you see the powerful force of nature, and then when you see like the force of humans against nature, like when we force ourselves against nature, we don't go along with our own inner nature, and instead we go with what we believe how it should be, and we force nature to do things for us that we want nature to do for us, and kind of treat it like it's a novel commodity in a way like that, which is not organic, and it's forcing nature to behave in a way it doesn't. or forcing ourselves to feel and act a way that we really don't. And we stop being organic and we start forcing ourselves to act in a way that doesn't feel true to ourselves, true to our own individual nature. That's the feeling that's coming through these cards to me. Is to maybe take a good look and example from nature, from the earth, from our home, and watch it and just look at it and get in touch with the powerful force that it is, and let that serve as a reminder to us to, first of all, let nature be, and to let it be a reflection, to serve as a reflection of our own organic nature, to not force ourselves to be anything that we're not. So it might serve to go out and look around and observe what looks natural to you. Doesn't even have to be in the literal sense. You know, like I said, we're surrounded by natural and human-made things, and not to judge them. You know, it is what it is, and a lot of it ends up being a benefit to us, even though we're so conceptually opposed to it and looking down our spiritual noses at things that are not natural and whatnot. But I'm talking about, you know, going beyond that, instead of getting caught in the weeds about, you know, ticking off our list of our so-called external moral standards about things, and how we make rules and shit about natural things. To look beyond that and to look at nature itself. Look around, go outside, look around. Even, it doesn't matter at what, it doesn't have to be. Look at everything, in other words. I'm not saying to look just at nature or just at organically growing things. I'm talking about just go look outside and pick up through your intuition what seems and feels natural to you, what feels the most natural, and go do that thing and go be there in that environment. But also, when you're there, just to be in that energy, just observe the innate power that is in what feels natural to you outside, and then observe what feels innately powerful to you about yourself, about your own nature, your essence, the essence of the world. The organic essence. To me, that's what nature is, the organic essence of this planet and of everything in it. And that we are that, and we're not separate from it. I don't see humans as being a superior species when you think about it. How can we be? It just cannot be so. It really can't be so. You know, we're the only ones destroying, you know, things, you know, whatnot. In spite of our humanity and our habits and our choices, I'm talking about deliberate intent to harm. That's what I mean. You know, we all, that's why I mentioned the fact that I smoke, or that I, you know, sometimes I eat junk food or whatever. It's like, I'm not talking about being human and learning as you go and just being who you truly are with your so-called flaws or whatever. I'm talking about causing deliberate harm with deliberate intent, destroying something. That type of thing. So I guess that's what I mean when I say to feel that we're not superior. We're not superior in that respect. You know, superior because we're cognitive or sentient beings or whatever. And it's like, yeah, I can't see that as being superior when it serves to cause deliberate, intentional harm to one another and to everything around us and all of that stuff. So it's like, well, if you depend on nature, it becomes less and less expendable in our minds. You know, we start seeing it less and less as something that's expendable. So to depend on it more, and that way our appreciation of it will grow more, and we can stop frittering time away and just spend more time doing what feels really innately, powerfully natural to us in our beings, if that makes sense. It makes sense to me because I can feel it, but I can't necessarily articulate it exactly the way I feel it inside. But if I've helped you connect with that, your own powerful nature essence that you carry inside of you, then I've served my purpose of doing this reading. And I hope that helps in getting you back in touch with being one with the rest of everything else. I'm going to pick a fairy ring oracle now. Nothing is dropping except this bottom card. And it is the Fairy Festival of Harvest. I also wanted to see that top card too. The High Priest. Interesting. Something told me to pick the first card on the tarot deck. I already picked the 3, but something told me to pick what was on the top, and I did, and it's the High Priest. So this is when, like, okay, if you were to say, like, organized religion versus an organic religion or spirituality, right? It doesn't matter the faith. This isn't about, like, church versus New Age. I'm not talking about two different types of, they're both conceptual, and in that sense they're not organic. Neither one of them is. We build up all of these beliefs and practices around these concepts we have about how we think things should be, okay? And that's what I'm talking about, a more organic spirituality. It doesn't matter if you sit in a church or go to an ashram in India, or it doesn't matter. Or if you just practice yoga, or if you don't, you just sit there. You just sit there. I don't go anywhere. I just sit here. You know, you don't have to be anywhere or believe any particular thing, and that's what I'm talking about. External rules, to me, this High Priest will depict, because of the pagan orientation of the cards, this is talking about an organic spirituality, but it's talking about collecting the wisdom gained from that organic spirituality and remembering it, writing it down, making a note of it so that you don't forget the sacred wisdom that you organically learned. It's not that life is like a recipe that you follow. It isn't. It's more about following your path organically, but keeping a record of it in a way that's organic to you. And if that is sitting in a church or in a sanctuary or praying to a statue or lighting a candle and all the beautiful ways our faith can be expressed, or if it's sitting under a tree, you know, and feeling the roots and the energy of the roots underneath your body, and you go to sleep and you have a dream and this tree is speaking to you. I mean, that's happened to me. That's why I'm mentioning it. It's like I've connected with God in so many different ways and connected with nature in so many different ways. Even sitting inside of a building, it doesn't matter. It's like the essence of the experience is what was the most important thing, and the essence of the beings involved, you know. And then it didn't become a bunch of external rules or concepts that I adhere to or agree with or follow. It's more like you having your own experience and making a note of it, writing it down and committing it and internalizing it to your memory and your cellular memory. Your cellular memory. I mean, internalize it to that degree and become that experience. That you are that experience. You contain it within you now. To me, that is the most beautiful kind of spirituality you can have. And it doesn't matter what so-called faith system you resonate with at all. As long as it becomes part of your cellular being, the good the pure, true essence of what it is becomes part of you in an organic way, that you're not following a bunch of rules, but you are keeping a sacred record of it in your heart. And you know, it helps to write shit down. It does. So you remember it. And Spirit would guide you to do that anyway. You might feel compelled. I got to write this down. So I never forget it, and I come back and I visit it all the time. So I hope that resonates for you. It certainly, you could feel the energy around here is buzzing with that. And it could continue. So harvest, this is talking more about the autumnal equinox, I believe. Yes, it is. The fairy ring oracle. When things are balanced and the light is balanced, it's the equal amounts of light and dark. It's beautiful. Things are still growing and things are being harvested. It just takes care of itself. It really does. Nature really takes care of itself, and maybe that's it. We will have the so-called right ideas. We'll have the right solutions. We'll have the right answers, or the things we need to know, that we feel we need to know. Nature will take care of itself. We're nature, so we'll get what we need. We will. And we can trust what I'm getting right now is we can trust nature. We can trust nature. We can rely on it. Follow the rhythms of the earth, you know, and don't condemn yourself for how much man-made stuff you participate in or don't. And try not to condemn anybody at all, but most of all yourself. Don't condemn yourself, especially based on what other people are saying is right and wrong. Don't worry about it. There's equal amounts of light and dark. And so really, we can't condemn each other. We all have the same stuff. Same amount of light and dark. And so we really can't afford to be pointing fingers at each other and calling each other names and whatnot. It will all take care of itself, and it will balance out. So let's help it along, or let's do what we can do naturally and organically to reset the balance in nature. That feels right to me. Yeah, that feels good. I think that's it for now. I think I probably could go on and on and on and on and on with this reading, but it's to give you a brief synopsis and a little bit more detail, and hitting those maybe more universal strong points to keep in mind as we kind of go out there in our home and get in touch with the organic essence of the planet we live on and ourselves, you know, and those things not being separate. We're all part of it. We're all one big living organism called planet Earth. So I love you guys. I'm glad you stopped by. Thank you for coming and visiting. And I will be in touch with you and do another reading very soon, probably on animals. That's the next on the list, I believe. So from my soul to yours, brightest blessings and much love. Take care. Bye-bye.